Hey friends, thanks for clicking on this video. Yes, the sun is right in my eyes, but I want to thank everybody for liking and subscribing to these videos. Certainly hope that you'll take the time to share them with your bestest of buds. I want to do just a quick little update. I did get the cylinder reblued for that 61 Navy, and there again the date code is telling that this gun was manufactured in 1978. So with a gun this old, you would expect to see a certain amount of wear and tear. One thing that I'm going to have to do and that I want to demonstrate right now is the wear and tear on the hammer face. And I want to speak specifically of where the hammer hits the percussion cap. These hammers from the factory are only color case hardened or just case hardened, and then they go back and chemically blue it. When you case harden these, you're only putting a layer of hardness that might go as deep as 3/1000ths. That's really not a whole lot. So over time, what happens is with that continuously hitting the percussion cap, and in particular, if you dry fire them, you end up dimpling the face of the hammer. And at some point, you're going to wear through that case hardening. Well, on this 61 Navy, over the age of the gun, that face has become very much dimpled because they've actually worn through the case hardening, that protective hard surface. Now, I will tell you right here, if you look at your modern day hammers, you can see that they're actually undercut right here, and they're actually rounded right through the bottom, just about. Well, the hammer that came off of this 61 Navy, it was actually square. The whole entire face was square. So what I've done is I've taken some file, and since the case hardening has been worn down, I actually rounded the face. And now I'm to the point to where I need to re-harden this hammer. So that's what I'm about to demonstrate right here. Now I've already gone through and I polished up all the surfaces that really need to be polished and smoothed. I'm not too concerned, you know, down in here where the bolt rides or anything like that, because that's going to end up being smooth anyways with just the case hardening. So let me get set up. I'm going to go do this in my in my shop close to my forge, because I want you to observe the range of color that I'm needing to get before I dip this into the caseonite hardening compound. So let me get situated and I'll just be with you in a moment. Well, there's my can of caseonite, and I know you're not going to be able to see, maybe you will. I don't have much of it left. That's why I have to get some more case hardening compound before I do that, the frame on the 51 Navy. And with that just now having been stated, I just might go to Plan 13B, but I'm saving that for a future video. When it comes to case hardening, you want to be able to have a container of cold ice water. So I've got my water chilling down right now, because when you get this to the point to where you need to quench it, you need to quench it in cold water. And I'm going to just be doing this with just a regular old propane torch. So let me demonstrate. And I'm looking to get it just cherry red. Hopefully you can see she's starting to turn a little cherry red. I'm going to try to maintain that color throughout the entire hammer. That's why I kind of keep the heat moving. Kind of evenly spread that heat out. Some guys might elect to quenching it, or not quenching, but to put the case hardening compound on right there. But I like to have it just a little bit more red so that it opens the pores of the metal and allows the case hardening compound to get even deeper into the hammer. In particular, the face. I'm going to roll that around in there and let it absorb. What it's really doing at this point is it's forming a coating of this hardening compound over the surface, and it really prevents it from getting any oxygen the next time I go to heat it up. Okay, it's kind of what it looks like after you dip it. Now what I'm going to do, because I want a little deeper hardening than this, I'm going to heat it back up to cherry red, let it cook, let it melt into the metal, and then I'm going to stick it back into the caseinite a second, possibly a third time. Now what's going to happen is that caseinite is going to start melting into the metal, and it'll form what might look like a glass sheen to it. But I got to get it hot to that point first. And then of course when this is done and done properly, not only will it give a hard surface, it'll almost become like glass once you get it polished, so that your pieces that are working, like your trigger and everything else, should work a lot smoother. Let me turn the heat up a little bit more. It's going to be a little difficult to read the color of the metal at this point, just simply because that caseinite will kind of obscure the color range. But because I've done this quite a bit over the years, I know what to expect. I don't know how well the camera can pick it up, but I'm actually seeing that glossy look on the caseinite at this point. I'm going to go ahead and put some more caseinite on it. can's getting a little warm. Try not to breathe the fumes in too much. Hopefully you can kind of see the redness. I've had this can of Casonite for about 40 years, and it's just about empty. Alright, this will be the third heating and dipping into the Casonite. Once I get this to the color I want, then I'll quench it into that little container of ice. And if everything works out properly, it should be case hardened. Okay, I'm about ready for the quench. Well, there's the final product. I'm going to go ahead and buff it up a little bit. There's that gray that I was talking about in the previous video. So let me get this buffed up and cleaned up, and then we'll take another look at it. Okay, I've wire brushed it. In my opinion, it looks pretty good. Obviously not factory with the color casing on it, but if I've done the job properly, my file should just glide across the hammer without gouging it. And my main concern is the face. And yes, the file is just gliding across the surface. It's not gouging it whatsoever. So now I'm going to move everything back into the house, and I'm going to try and experiment with super glue and see if I can't get some color put back into this hammer. Okay, I'm going to try to do a little bit experimenting with coloring this trigger. I saw a fella on YouTube use a little bit of super glue on a Q-tip, dipped in just a little bit of water, and then kind of do his own design. And from my perspective and my opinion, it looked really nice. Just to reiterate, in case I forgot, and I probably did because I've done a couple of things since I case hardened this. Over time, your case hardening, you're going to lose it on the face from the continuously hitting the cones. Once that case harden is gone, then what you really have is a soft metal now hitting that cone. And I have a very strong opinion that those cones are also case hardened. So what you have is you have a soft surface hitting a hard surface, and over time these faces do get very badly dimpled. And once again, before I went ahead and did the case hardening, I already reworked the face and everything that was needed. I actually sanded out some of the tooling marks on the inside of the hammer right in through here, and I cleaned up this as best as I could. I'm not looking for any perfection with this, because there again, the revolver was made back in 1978. The date code is AD. So anyhow, one would expect a little bit of wear on a revolver this old. So let me get some super glue in the container, and we'll see how it turns out. And by the way, commenter underneath one of my previous videos had made mention about this pan coming from my wife's kitchen, or her bread pan or cake pan or whatever. Yes, I would be concerned also, especially if my wife had caught me doing that, but I actually went and bought this pan for this purpose specifically, because I knew I'd be removing some of the bluing and some of that plum brown on that 51 Navy. So, got some bluing, dip it in the water, and let's go to work and see what happens here. I'm going to kind of do a design that'll mimic cold bluing. Do some splotch work. Maybe thin it out a little bit more. Make happy little designs. And just a side note, when I did case hardness, I did have that little roller removed where it would actually roll up against the mainspring. Kind of thin this down maybe a little bit more and hopefully get some different colors out of it. Put a little bit on the face. Oh yeah, I can see some neat color changes in that. And I'm not worried about any oils being transferred from my finger onto this. How does it go? It is what it is. Okay, let me see if I can't blend some of that together. I'm going to kind of dab some of this off and see what happens here. Kind of move some of the bluing that was already in place. From here it doesn't look half bad. I mean, it's definitely not fire colored that one would expect, or even, well, I guess it is kind of chemically blued, isn't it? Chemically colored. I can see a variety of color. I don't think the camera's going to be picking it up as well as I would hope, but I can definitely see a variety of color in that. Well, I think I'm going to leave it, guys. Put a little bit on the sights. I'm going to try to get close into the camera. The view screen is upside down for me at this point. And I'm hoping you can kind of see in the reflection that there is a color scheme from doing it that way. Let me flip it to the other side. There you go. There's what appears to be a good reflection at this point. So obviously at this point in doing this, I'll need to soak it in some oil. And what I use is just a regular old house cooking oil. You don't really need a fancy oil. Just something to let it soak overnight and just pretty much arrest what the chemical bluing is doing. Maybe thin it out in some spots just a little bit, but I mean, it's definitely not factory, but at first glance it really does, you know, shows a variety of colors. I think that's a good shot right there. So, once again, friends, thanks for watching. I hope that we can all learn and glean something from this. And I hope everybody will have a wonderful day. Bye.